Okay, so now we're still going to talk about how energy is transferred within a cell through different processes. So now we're going to talk about how animals transform energy. And we're going to specifically talk about cellular respiration. Okay, so this goes with learning target number 10. Learning target 10, we're going to model and explain how animals and plants use chemical energy from sugar to be transformed into mechanical energy that is used by the organism. Be able to write the products and reactants for cellular respiration. So you'll be able to write the equation for cellular respiration as well. Okay, so when we talk about cellular respiration, this is a process that occurs in both plants and animals. So remember, photosynthesis only occurred in plants because animal cells can't make their own food. But cellular respiration occurs in both plants and animals because both plants and animals are going to take sugar and be able to change it into energy, which is the ATP, adenine triphosphate. Okay, so remember, this occurs in both plants and animals. I love my nifty highlight tool. So cool. Okay, now, cellular respiration, remember from our functions on the cell organelles, that occurs in the mitochondria of the cell. The mitochondria, remember, that's our powerhouse of the cell where energy is created. So this is the organelle that has cellular respiration, just like the chloroplast were the organelles where photosynthesis took place. And if you notice, in the plant cell, the chloroplast and the mitochondria work together, and we'll come back to that in just a minute. Okay, so cellular respiration, let's look at the equation. Okay, now, what's really cool about cellular respiration equation is it's the opposite of the equation for photosynthesis. Let me fix my arrow real quick. Oops, fix the equation. All right. Okay, so what I mean by that is that what were the reactants in photosynthesis? Remember the reactants, plants take in CO2 and water, okay, and then they need to use the sun's energy, okay, are now the products of cellular respiration. And if you look over here, the reactants on cellular respiration are the products of photosynthesis, because remember photosynthesis, the plants create sugar and oxygen, so they are the reverse, and it makes sense. So if we take a look at cellular respiration, so plants, I'm sorry, not plants, excuse me, animals breathe in oxygen, O2. We breathe in oxygen, okay? We also take in sugar. We get that glucose from our food, okay? Using our digestive system, we take in glucose from food, and that gets put into our cells. We breathe in oxygen, we eat and take in the glucose, that goes into our cells. Once it goes into our cells, it's going to go into the mitochondria of our cells. The mitochondria is then going to change oxygen and glucose into carbon dioxide and water. When it does that, the chemical energy from the glucose and from the oxygen gets converted into kinetic energy, which is the energy that we use. So you guys have kind of noticed whenever you don't eat, okay, you feel really tired. Well, that's because you get the glucose from your food. And if you don't get enough glucose, then your body doesn't create enough energy to go about your daily business. That's why it's so important to eat breakfast. It's your most important meal of the day so that you have the energy to come to school and do all your learning. So, cellular respiration, again, animals breathe in oxygen, take in glucose from their foods. That gets converted into carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Now, if you notice that carbon dioxide is a waste product, that's what we breathe out because we don't use it. But guess who does? Plants. So what we breathe out, plants use. And then they breathe out oxygen as a waste product, and we use that. So that's cellular respiration. So if you notice already, just from looking at our notes today, photosynthesis and cellular respiration go together. Okay, so let's figure out how they go together. So let's look at plants first. Since plants can create their own sugar, they don't need to take in sugar like we do from food. They can make their own sugar through photosynthesis. They have all the ingredients to perform cellular respiration. Okay, so the chloroplasts have already made the sugar and the oxygen through photosynthesis, because remember, these were the products of photosynthesis. So they already have, plants already have the ingredients for cellular respiration. So plants can really do very well on their own. They don't really need us for a whole lot. They can do this all on their own. So then that sugar and the oxygen that was created in the chloroplast, okay, goes into the mitochondria, where then through cellular respiration, the plants create their own energy. Okay, so plants do not need to take in a whole lot of chemicals from the environment because they already have it inside their cells. They already have the glucose and the oxygen created through photosynthesis. Okay, and then if you kind of notice, okay, through cellular respiration, CO2 is a waste. Well, for plants, the plants take in that CO2 for photosynthesis. So they really can create their own cycle between photosynthesis and cellular respiration, and they don't really need to take in a whole lot from the outside environment. Now, animals, we are different. Okay, we cannot make our own food. So we must get that sugar, that glucose, from the food that they consume. And then we take in CO2 from the atmosphere. We've got to breathe it in order to cellular respirate and get that energy. So animals have to take in oxygen and glucose from the environment in order to create our own energy, because we cannot photosynthesize. Okay, again, we have the theory of conservation of matter. Okay, so if you look, okay, we now have this balanced equation, and it looks just very similar to the balanced equation of photosynthesis, except it's reversed. So again, we start off with 6 carbon atoms. So if we start off with 6 carbon atoms, because we can't create matter, those 6 carbon atoms have to be over here on this side of the equation with the products. Again, it is. There's 6 carbon atoms. Okay, so we didn't create or destroy energy. We just changed, we didn't create or destroy matter. We just changed the matter. So the matter started off in glucose. The carbon started off in glucose. It got changed into carbon dioxide. It's now in carbon dioxide. Okay, so again, cellular respiration supports the theory of conservation of matter. Excuse me. Now, with the conservation of energy, remember, energy cannot be created or destroyed, only changed. So plants and animals have chemical energy in the sugar. That gets transferred into mechanical energy or kinetic energy for movement. Excuse me, again. So again, we didn't create or destroy energy. We just converted it from chemical energy to mechanical, or potential energy to kinetic.